Okay, so before I even begin, you're probably like, who is Candace Farmer? That's Candace Owens. I'm from the South, so we don't go by our maiden names here, and I actually find it disrespectful. So I'm not going to be doing that. So that's why it says Candace Farmer. Anyways, I'm still going to talk about the things that I do not like about her, and one thing she taught me that I didn't even know. So, here we go.
So I've been questioning my own denomination, so I'm curious, what was the turning point for you in your move from a Protestant denomination to more of a Catholicism?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. Especially in America, it's a great question because America is a unique country that, you go to other countries in Europe and there's just like a few, it's like, Catholic, Anglican, in America, there's just so many Protestant divisions. My husband used to say all the time, to become a student of history is to become a Catholic. What?
If you want a recommendation on Catholicism, I would actually recommend going to Mike Winger. You should be able to put in Mike Winger Catholicism and this pop up in your search. And it's 15 videos of a thorough research, both historically and just morally and biblically, and honestly, Catholicism is not compatible with the Bible. So that's like, I don't know, that's probably the number one reason not to be a Catholic.
Whichever way you look at it, that was going on at the same time.
So in the build-up to this, you'd already made it clear that you said on Twitter on November the 3rd, no government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide ever. There is no justification for a genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said or is even considered the least bit controversial to state. You didn't say what you were talking about in that tweet, but it was widely assumed to be Gaza and what Israel was doing in Gaza. Is that correct? Were you talking about Israel there?
No, actually, when I wrote that tweet, if you look right before that tweet, I had retweeted and liked something from a journalist named Yashar Ali. He had shared a clip of a congressman, Brian Mast, who got up on a platform and said that there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian life. That is despicable genocidal language. And I am paraphrasing here, but Yashar Ali said, and he's pro-Israel, by the way, if I'm judging by what he puts online. He said, can we all just admit that this language is unacceptable? And I tweeted that no government in the world, and I was actually commenting on America, genocide is always wrong. And so, by the way, even if I was talking about Israel or I was talking about Palestine, that statement should hold.
No, I
There
agree.
is
I agree,
no
but just-
justification
No, I
ever
agree,
in
I
the
agree, but-
world.
But for the
For
record,
genocide. So
I agree.
I was very surprised to see that tweet go viral and people so angry about it. I was actually overseas at the moment. I was in the UK. And so it seemed very strange to me that people would have a problem with it no matter what side you're on. But in that particular moment, I was talking about Brian Mast, and my very next show, I clarified that.
And do you think, for the record, that what Israel's been doing constitutes genocide?
Well, what I've been having trouble is all of the people that are pro-Israel and say it's not a genocide won't tell me what is a genocide. How many, what percentage of a population has to be killed before we can use the word genocide? It's a funny little thing. They won't tell you. They won't tell you what constitutes genocide. So I would like a clear understanding of how many Palestinians have to die before we are allowed to term it a genocide. All of the experts can't agree on what a genocide actually is.
can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can.
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
But they love to float around the word on virtually every other issue. You know, I had Rabbi Barclay on my show, on one of my last shows on the Daily Wire, and I asked him that question pointedly: what is genocide? Let us know, experts, what percentage of the population of Palestinians has to be killed before we are allowed to say that it's genocide. What I can tell you is I am completely uncomfortable and utterly against the amount of Palestinian innocent lives that have been lost in this conflict, particularly children. And any person who is fearful of stating that the death of innocent children has been utterly unacceptable is a coward.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I completely agree, but do you personally think it constitutes genocide, which is the deliberate...
What I'm saying to you is
I can tell you what, I can tell you what
pursued on my show.
Yeah.
What is the number?
No, I understand.
What is the official number? That's it. I mean, somebody tell me and I'll give you an answer.
Well, I don't think there is a specific...
Try it when you have...
Well, it's not about a number.
People on both sides of the debate on.
Yeah, but it's not...
Sides of the debate on.
Yeah, but it's not... It's not
what do you mean it's a number?
Here's my answer.
And do they give you an answer?
Well, no, because here's the point. It's not about specific numbers. It's about an intent.
But it has to be.
Well, no, it's not. It's about an intent to eradicate.
That's not true, Piers, because in America they say that Native Americans, it was genocide committed by white men. This is what they say, right?
No, but I'm talking about what the definition of a genocide is.
And what I'm telling you is that would be incorrect because the majority of Native Americans died from smallpox. It was accidental. Some 90% of Native Americans died from smallpox, and it's considered a genocide.
No, I understand. I'm telling you what the definition of genocide is, which is not about a specific number in any circumstance. It's about an intent to target and eradicate a whole people based on their ethnicity.
I'm disputing that by telling you that they legally say within America that Native Americans, a genocide was committed against Native Americans. Factually speaking, 90% of them, 90 and 93% of them died from smallpox. So it was actually an epidemic. Right. So is the definition shifting? Because it is my understanding from Rabbi Barclay that the definition of anti-Semitism shifts. So maybe the definition of genocide has shifted, but
let me read you the exact wording and see whether you think it applies to. Well, let me read you the exact definition of genocide from the Oxford English Dictionary: the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. So by that definition, do you believe that is what's happening to the Palestinian people and is being perpetrated by Israel?
Well, I would say is that Israel has proven in the past that they can be very specific when they want to get somebody out, whether that's a hostage or any other certain military operation. And what I am seeing happening, forgetting the specific language of a genocide, is something that I'm using my platform to speak out against, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me what the media calls me. I've had every headline. I do not believe that they are being careful in what they are doing. I think it has been it seems to me that the destruction of the hospitals and the schools and of the UN buildings. Would you say, Piers, that you believe that's unintentional? Piers, that you believe that's unintentional?
I do not believe.
And the biggest issue, by the way, that I have with Israel, in talking about them being above reproach, is the fact that they are supplying the arms to murder Christians. okay? In Armenia, the oldest Christian country in the world, and yet nobody talks about that. For whatever reason, it seems to be the circumstance that when Jewish people die in Israel, it's wall-to-wall coverage. But when Christians die all over the world, nobody talks about it. Everyone wants to correlate everything to World War II. Everyone wants to talk about Adolf Hitler, and rightfully so, he was a horrific person. But nobody wants to talk about Henryk Yagoda, right? Nobody wants to talk about the Bolsheviks. Nobody wants to talk about the Christian Holocaust. I am tired of the media, exhausted of the media not speaking about what is happening to Christians all around the world. And it is especially horrific while at the exact same time that it is happening, the slaughter of Christians in Armenia, the arms being supplied by Israel, that the media turns the other way and says, oh, okay, but what about what about what's happening in Israel? What about what's happening in Israel? So you know what I'm asking for? Actual equality. Okay? Because it seems like this is like a special category, the special relationship that we have. I'm a Christian first, okay? And so my concerns are going to be with what's happening to Christians all around the world, because it is us. We are the #1 most persecuted religion in the world. And all Christians watching this need to realize the time is now to start speaking up, because we have been silenced about the things that are happening to us for a very long time. The media is very clearly not our friend. When there is wall-to-wall coverage of Christians being killed in Armenia, Christians being killed in Nigeria, and the treatment of Christians in America and all across the globe today, then you ask me if I will use my platform and I will use my voice to speak about what's happening in Israel. How about that?
Okay, I think that's a perfectly reasonable point to make.
Oh, it's a valid point to make. It's just that it's at the end of a justification to call them genocidal, and that's not what's happening.